everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Erin Schwartz, and I'm the B2B Marketing Manager here at iHire. I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar, How to Support Your Staff Throughout the Employee Lifecycle During COVID-19 and Beyond. In a moment, I'll turn it over to our speaker, Lori Cole, Customer Success Manager at iHire. Lori is a certified career advisor with over 20 years of experience in staffing and recruiting in the online world. She built a temporary staffing firm, then transitioned into full-time recruiting in the construction and real estate industries. She is one of the co-founders of iHire and has been an early adopter of technology's use to optimize the web when it comes to the ever-evolving nature of the employment industry. At iHire, Lori directs the customer success team, the outplacement team, and the career advisor team. A couple quick notes before getting started. During the presentation, please feel free to submit questions at any time using the Q&A tool at the bottom of your screen, and we'll be answering questions live at the end of our presentation. Also, keep an eye out tomorrow for an email with a recording of the webinar. And with that, I'll turn it over to Lori.
Thank you so much, Erin. So thanks for joining the How to Support Your Staff Throughout the Employee Lifecycle During COVID-19 and Beyond. So no matter your industry, your organization size, or your company's location, or whether or not your team is working remotely, one thing is for certain: your employees are human, and you need to support them and treat them well, especially during uncertain and stressful times like the pandemic we're going through right now, but also thinking about them beyond this time. When we talk about treating your employees well, we don't just mean providing your existing employees with great benefits and a lively company culture. Treating your employees well requires supporting current, future, and even former staff in each stage of the employee life cycle, from recruitment to the time they depart your company. Supporting your employees encompasses a number of efforts designed to improve the employee experience, enable flexible schedules, providing timely and transparent feedback, offering a goal-driven onboarding plan, and even investing in outplacement programs to help those that you've laid off find new jobs. I work with a lot of candidates every day as a career coach, and a lot of them currently have a job, but they just don't feel supported by their employer, and they're wondering what else is out there. I also talk to employers who feel that this might be a prime time to displace a worker or let someone go who may no longer be engaged or as engaged in their work as they once were. Everyone feels that the grass is greener on the other side, but the truth is the grass is greener where you water it. And it takes the effort of both employers and employees to make things work. And companies must support employees to make them feel like it's worth that effort. Why supporting your employees must be your #1 priority. Before covering the how, I want to cover the why. Why is it so important to show employees that you care, especially during times of stress and uncertainty? It helps to reduce turnover and improve retention rates. 77.1% of employers say that finding qualified, relevant talent is their top recruiting challenge. And when attracting the right candidates is so difficult, keeping the employees you have now is even more critical. 1 in 3 employees have left a job because they don't feel like their employer cared about them as a person. The average replacement cost of a salaried employee is estimated to be 6 to 9 months of compensation. So for someone earning $60,000 per year, that totals $30,000 to $45,000 in recruiting and training and replacement costs. So happier employees are more likely to stay with your company longer, and they're more likely to be engaged and productive in their work. Also, it raises productivity and engagement. When employees feel like they are truly cared about and that they're not just a number on your payroll, they're more motivated and engaged in their work. And when they're more motivated and engaged, then they're more productive, which ultimately impacts your bottom line. Studies show that 13% more, that workers are 13% more productive when they are happy. It strengthens your employer brand. Whoops, let's go back here. Sorry about that. I clicked the link. It strengthens your employer brand. Your employer brand is the perception of your company's workplace. When you're deemed a good place to work, it's far easier to recruit and retain your staff. The way you treat your employees, as well as job candidates, is a direct reflection of your employer brand. When you don't treat people well, it can come back to bite you. Have you ever seen or received an employee or former employee negative review on Glassdoor? The word gets around. And for one, those negative comments can deter qualified people from applying to the jobs, your jobs in the future. And number two, it can hurt the morale of the current staff. If you would like more advice on building a stronger employer brand, check out one of our recent webinars, and we will drop that link in the chat box here. Supporting your employees is just the right thing to do. Simply put, treating your employees well is the right thing to do. No one wants to work for a company who makes them feel forgotten. No one wants to be let go by their employer and feel like they're completely lost and alone. When you spend 1/3 of your adult life at work, we might as well make it as enjoyable and happy and rewarding as possible. Right now, because of the pandemic, there's a great deal of attention on mental health. I've really noticed an increase of commercials that I see on TV, urging people to seek help if they need it. Mental health issues are on the rise, no doubt, and some benefit packages provide confidential, professional mental health resources for those who need it, like an employee access program or employee assistance program. If your benefit package offers this option, you might want to ask your HR person to send out a friendly reminder to the entire staff to remind them that it's available, because you just don't know when somebody is struggling and could use someone to help and to talk to. Next, we're going to talk through the 5 stages of an employee's life cycle and suggest how specifically you can care for your staff in each one of these stages. Number 1 is recruitment. Focus on the candidate experience. Provide prospective employees with an inviting, honest, and engaging recruitment process. Implement fair recruiting practices and emphasize that you are an equal opportunity employer and follow diversity and inclusion best practices in your job ad, on your career pages, and on social media sites. Then follow through with those claims and don't just talk about it. Don't just talk the talk. Eliminate friction in the application process. This is huge because it's probably the #1 complaint that I get from candidates, just about the long application processes online and how long it takes to do that. Try to keep that initial application under 10 minutes, and then save the more in-depth questioning and documentation for the interview or the post-interview stage. Communicate with candidates and update candidates on the status of their application. Tell them when they can expect to hear back from you. Tell them when you make a hiring decision. Let them know when they're no longer in the running for a position. Never allow an applicant to fall into the resume black hole. Frustrated applicants may not hesitate to share a negative experience with your company online. Be as helpful to these candidates as possible. As they move through your funnel, Provide them with information along the way, details about your company history, what it looks like to work with your company, and what the job entails. And when you're scheduling interviews, whether they're remote or in person, provide information about where to park if they're in person, or remote, how to log in for a video interview, and who they will be meeting with. This will help give everyone, both on your staff and the prospective candidate, a better interviewing experience. On each slide, we're going to share a COVID consideration. So if you're beginning to return to the office, you'll need to ease applicants' fears about health and safety concerns, as well as the longevity of your company. Emphasize that safety protocols and guidelines are being followed. Discuss how your company has remained agile during the COVID lockdowns to maintain business continuity. And if your workforce is completely working remote, you may want to discuss how well the company has adapted and how you keep your staff engaged and productive when working from home. In these times, candidates have a lot of concerns and questions, so don't hesitate to go out of your way to address them compassionately. This will make it easier to convince that perfect person that you find to accept your job offer. In the onboarding stage, the employee's first few days are crucial for setting the tone of the relationship with you and with the company. A poor onboarding experience can really make them question their decision to accept that job offer and lead them to explore the greener grass on the other side sooner rather than later. So support your employees during the onboarding stage of the employee life cycle. And you can do that in a number of ways by providing a detailed and goal-oriented onboarding roadmap. We do this with our new folks. Show them what they can expect to achieve the first day, the first week, the first month, and the first 3 months. Make them feel welcome. Greet them with company swag. I know that our new hires are always so excited and impressed to see a small gift bag on their desk with the company swag in it. Also send a chat or an email message to the rest of the team and the rest of the company, if it's appropriate, about the new hire's first day, and encourage those fellow team members to reach out and say hello and welcome that new team member. Keep them connected. It's really easy for a new employee to feel lonely and isolated, especially if they're in this new remote work environment. So pair your staff with a buddy or a mentor, maybe somebody in a similar role who they can turn to with any questions or comments. You should also schedule meet and greets, whether in person or with other teammates online through Zoom. Schedule that with other teammates, other managers, and even some of the company leadership if appropriate. For this COVID consideration, if you're working remotely and you plan on onboarding the person remotely, don't wait until their first day to get all their new workstations set up. Verify that their tech equipment is there, it's ready to go prior to that start date. Also, as a manager, a thing that you can do is make sure before they start that they have all of their accounts are in order, their documents are in order, the folders are set up in advance, and that will really help for a smooth day one transition. For development phase, caring for your staff requires empowering them to enhance their skills and knowledge required to advance in their careers. So if employees do not have the opportunity to grow professionally, they'll feel stagnated and become disengaged. And this negatively impacts your entire organization. Support your staff's development with the following tactics. Show them clear career paths. What's the next step in that employee's career? What promotional opportunities exist for them? and tell them how they get there. This will motivate them as well as provide optimism for the future, which is really might be key in hazy economic times. Offer training programs specific to their job. So whether through virtual conferences, online forums, workshops, seminars, give your staff the opportunity to further their skills in a more formal setting. Investing in your people equals investing in your company's future. Hold one-on-one meetings. Encourage managers and their teammates to meet regularly one-on-one. This is important for development, and these meetings give both the employer and the employee an opportunity to just sit down, talk transparently about goals, provide feedback to each other, and build the trust that's really needed for growth. For the COVID consideration here, if budgets are tight, there are a lot of free online courses to explore. We call these MOOCs, and that stands for Massive Open Online Courses. So iHire has a MOOC library that you can check out to find the right courses for your team, and the link will be attached on this slide. Retention. So as we talked about earlier, retaining your employees is essential in keeping costs down and your productivity up. But focusing on retention is also an opportunity to go the extra mile to treat your staff well. In this retention phase, focus on building a core value-driven culture. What are your company's core values? And build your culture around those core values and ensure that everything that you do, how you treat your staff, how you reward them, reflects your values. For example, at iHire, innovation is one of our core values. So no matter how long somebody's been with us or what their position is in the company, we encourage all of our employees to share their ideas with us. Offer competitive benefits, salaries, and perks. How do your benefits and compensation package line up with those of your competitors? Take care of your employees by providing the basics like medical insurance, 401k options, and paid time off. You can also go a step above, as iHire does, and offer monthly internet stipend for people who are working remotely, reimburse employees for health and wellness purchases through a WSA, and offer mental health support through EAPs. Ask your employees for feedback. How do you know what's working if you don't ask your employees themselves what's working? So conduct regular anonymous surveys and act on that feedback. Show that you're listening and that your employees have a voice. There are a lot of great programs out there that can facilitate these regular surveys, and we use something called Office Vibe. Say thank you to your employees. Never hesitate to show appreciation. Going out of your way to say a simple thank you to an employee about their exceptional work or going above and beyond the call of duty. You can send a small gift or a gift card. Just recognizing them on social media or an internal social recognition program, or encouraging them to take some time off are all small but very appreciated things that you can do, and those things add up. For the COVID consideration here, it's slightly harder to maintain a strong company culture if your workforce is remote. But don't let it fall by the wayside. Keep your culture alive with virtual social events, happy hours, game nights, and even yoga classes. iHire does all of those things on a regular basis. We've had virtual baby showers, bingo happy hours, and happy hours that have included the kids. And the kids just love being able to sit with their parents and see the other kids on Zoom and see their parents, coworkers, and just interact. The kids just appreciate being included. And speaking of the kids, don't forget about those working parents during these times. A lot of kids are at home doing virtual learning. So offer workplace flexibility, and that can really mean a lot to those parents. Some companies are offering schedule sharing. They're allowing employees to set their own hours, and that can really mean the world to parents who have that teacher hat on. And finally, when employees exit, whether they are leaving voluntarily or maybe they're changing, maybe they're changing jobs, or maybe they're retiring or exploring different career options, or if they're leaving involuntarily, maybe you've had to lay people off due to financial reasons or terminate people due to performance issues. Showing that departing staff compassion is really a key part of the employee experience. You can support those exiting employees by offering an outplacement service. Outplacement is usually commonly used in layoffs, and the goal is to keep your employees happy even beyond that termination and help them find new jobs. Most services like iHire's virtual outplacement services will provide career coaching, job search resources, and we even write a new resume for those employees. Those who offer outplacement are in turn protecting their employer brand, leaving employees with a positive sentiment about your company, even in challenging times. And don't forget that when you're forced to displace an employee, your remaining staff goes on hyper alert. People get a little bit nervous. They don't know all the circumstances around that layoff or that termination, but they're watching to see how the company is handling that. So offering outplacement is just the right thing to do. You may also want to consider extending benefits. More than ever, people need that medical health coverage. So consider extending that coverage for another month as the employee gets acclimated to their new world. And then, of course, provide them with the COBRA resources that they need. You should also hold exit interviews because they are ideal for gathering valuable feedback from departing employees. This allows them a chance to voice any concerns and be heard, and their feedback equips you with insights into how to improve the employee experience and your company and your culture moving forward. For this COVID consideration, if you've had to lay off employees during COVID, for example, you've had to downsize, you might consider rehiring them when you're able to hire again. Boomerang employees can make some of the best employees and save time and cost with the onboarding. They already know your company and your systems, and it will also help to improve the perception of your company as an employer in the eyes of those who you've let go. It's a win-win situation. So with that, I will turn it back over to Erin for her recap.
Thanks, Lori. Some really great info there. So just to recap, don't forget that treating your talent right not only leads to higher retention rates, but will also lead to increased employee productivity, as well as stronger employee branding. Plus, it's really just the right thing to do. It's very important to support current, prospective, and even exiting staff throughout each stage of their life cycle at your company. And you can do this by focusing on the candidate experience when you're recruiting, planning for that smooth, welcoming, goal-oriented onboarding process, taking some time to invest in a professional development and growth opportunity for those employees, building a core values-driven company culture that will improve retention, And finally, as employees are exiting your company, considering outplacement to really support those employees as they figure out their next endeavor. So with that, we will move into questions. Lori, if you wouldn't mind advancing.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you to everybody who submitted your questions ahead of time. If any other questions come to mind, please feel free to submit them, continue to submit them through the Q&A tool at the bottom of your screen. Okay, Lori, should I offer outplacement services to employees I fire?
A lot of companies will consider making that part of the severance package. Think about being terminated if you've ever been in that situation. It's quite a shock to the person. And giving this person the outplacement helps to give them hope and reassurance that they will have the help that they need. Creating your resume is a daunting task, especially if it's not something that you do all the time. So you don't want the person to feel like they're on their own, and you want them to feel like they are being supported by you. So definitely making it part of the severance package is a good idea.
How much flexibility is too much flexibility? I don't want my employees to take advantage of setting their own schedules.
Okay, so it probably depends on your department, the maturity of your team. I can talk about what my team does. I manage customer success, and we have regular hours that we're required to be on the phone. But that doesn't stop my employees from using that flex time and creating their own schedules. We just all have a rotating schedule. We work together to make sure that things are covered. And my team members are just excellent. They're accountable to each other, and there's really no need for me to get involved with their scheduling. I trust them. They're adults. I love working with them, but it really does depend on what your team is doing and the maturity of your team, and even having the other team members help to hold them accountable will hopefully stop them from taking liberties with your generosity to create their own schedules.
What can I do if my employee is having a really hard time coping with the impact of the pandemic and completing their work?
I think clear goals and expectations are vital. That's what we talk about in our one-on-ones. What we've done the past week, what we're doing this week, what we're focusing on for this quarter. I also think that you have to understand that every employee has their unique set of circumstances at home right now. They've got kids that are e-learning. They have pets running around in the background. They have other family members working from home. Some are even taking care of elderly parents. And coming to the office kind of used to be an escape from all of that. But now they don't have that ability to come to the office. So setting those clear goals and expectations about the results that you're looking for. And if they are struggling, encourage them to be honest with you about that and offer support and see what things that you can do to help make sure that they're able to meet their goals.
How can I justify spending more money on outplacement when terminating an employee?
Well, I think number one, what we hear from employers all of the time is that it's the right thing to do. They just feel like it's the right thing to do. I was on a phone call this morning with somebody, and that was the first thing that she said to us, is that she just wanted to do what she could to support these people. The other thing that was important to her was her company branding. She she wants to prevent that laid off person from going on social media and maybe saying something negative about them, something negative on Glassdoor. So she really wanted to protect the company reputation. And that just providing that outplacement service shows that you want to gain trust from that employee that you've had to unfortunately lay off, and that you want to take care of that person.
Lori, do you participate in iHire's virtual yoga?
I don't. I tried one time and it was not pretty. So I don't participate in that, but I don't know if you do, Erin. I've done it.
I haven't, because I have a standing meeting at the same time. We have an attendee asking about how it works, if we have to have our cameras on or not. And it's my understanding that no, it's just the virtual yoga instructor that has her camera on, and then everyone does it in the comfort of their own home with their cameras off.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what it is.
I've been considering, though, rescheduling my meeting because I would love to do it.
Did we have any other questions?
Can you suggest an outplacement service to a terminated employee, basically referring them without taking on the cost? So in the current environment, so many companies are struggling to keep the doors open.
We have had people, companies refer us as a resource to candidates. You know, some of them are interested in that, some of them are not, but absolutely. I mean, if it's not outplacement with iHire, we also have some other services that we provide as a premium candidate service that employers, it's a much lower cost. You don't get all of the bells and whistles and the perks, but you do get access to our entire career management platform. And we have a lot of great do-it-yourself tools. We have do-it-yourself resume builders. We have cover letter generators. We have career resource area that's searchable. There's just such a plethora of information on our website. So I would direct them to our website if you aren't in a position to pay for outplacement for them.
What is a boomerang employee?
That's somebody that you've employed and then they've moved on, they've gone somewhere else for a few years, and then you hire them back. And iHire has many boomerang employees.
Do you have any resources for exit interviews? Should they be done in person or online or by an outside source?
I think it's really tough in a situation where you are terminating somebody unexpectedly. That is a very tough situation to do an exit interview in. You're probably going to get a lot of very negative feedback at that point. Where we primarily do the exit interviews is if someone is leaving our company voluntarily. It doesn't happen very often, but when it does, we want to make sure that we understand. I mean, we a little bit see that as a failing, like, where did we fall short? How could we have kept this person happier? What could we have done? So we want their input on that. And sometimes it's nothing. We could have done nothing. It's just they get an offer that you can't refuse. So we also understand that too. But that's where we keep the door open for those boomerang employees and say, hey, if the grass isn't greener on the other side, we're still here and we would still love to work with you. So I feel like that's very encouraging. I also think that SHRM has an exit interview questionnaire. So that may be a resource for you, that you could look for the SHRM exit interview questionnaire. If someone has that link quick, they can drop it into the chat window as a resource.
Just sent it, Lori.
Okay, good.
All right, I think that is all the questions we received. Thank you again to everyone so much for signing in and participating today. Keep an eye out for a follow-up email tomorrow with a link to a recording of the webinar as well as the slides. And we'll also be sending out email communication soon about our next employer webinar, which is on hiring during the holiday season. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you all.